right, welcome back to another AI Minds podcast. This is a podcast where we explore the companies of tomorrow being built AI first. I'm your host, Demetrios, and this episode, like every other episode, is brought to you by DeepGram, the number one text-to-speech and speech-to-text API on the internet today. Trusted by the world's top enterprises, conversational AI leaders, and startups like Spotify, NASA, Citibank, and Twilio. Speaking of Twilio, I have the great pleasure of being joined by a principal product manager at Twilio today. Brandon, how you doing, man?
Hey, Demetrios. Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
So I want to go over a bit of your story, and then I want the jam session to happen on Twilio and all of the conversational AI stuff that you all are doing. But I think you've been in the game, the startup game, and then the big company game in tech for a while now. You started as a software engineer and have drifted into product, which I think is a story that happens to quite a few of us. Now, you were working at Storyblocks, and then you went into B2B, you went into actual physical products. Can you give me a bit of a story on how the transition from becoming a software engineer to a product person happened?
Yeah, I did. I made the move to the dark side, depending on your perspective. Basically out of necessity. I like problem solving, so that was what was attracted to me about software engineering in the first place. And product just sort of represented an opportunity to widen the aperture or the definition of what problems we're solving. So it's customers, it's market, right? Um, our first startup was Storyblocks, like you mentioned, is we were fortunate enough to kind of grow really fast and have strong product market fit. So we quickly got to a place where we had more things coming in to do than we could possibly handle and prioritize. And
That's always fun.
I got the opportunity to cut my teeth there and make a lot of mistakes, and learn the dark art of product management. I haven't looked back since.
Now, when you went into physical products and you were doing stuff there, how do you consider these 2 worlds different, like between bits and bytes and atoms?
Well, they're very different, very, very different. The financing can be different too, from like the cap table structure all the way down to, of course, the how we operate, the end user experience. You're a lot more reliant on partners, right, to produce the thing. You've got to design it. You probably have like an e-commerce component that's software digital, but ultimately it comes down to like shipping an actual thing, and those things have defects. Software, right? If you have ship a defect, you just fix it, right? You just push out an update. But if for example, this was Artifact Uprising, high quality print photo books. You screw that up, this is a customer's. It's usually something sentimental. It's a big deal. It's like a wedding photo album. You can't
Yeah.
get that back. So you gotta, there's lots of cost with that. You got to make sure it's really right up front.
Oof, yeah. Patching a piece of software seems trivial compared to going back and returning a high quality photo album and having to then make a champion out of somebody who is probably pretty pissed off.
100%.
So then I want to hear about the move from startups to a bigger company, which is Twilio, and how that transition was and has been.
Yeah, I was really curious to kind of see. I've always been on the startup side. I've gone through an acquisition. I've seen various stages of startups, but I was always curious to see what does it look like on the other side. And sort of learn that skill set, and as it turns out, it's more of the same. And there's of course some things that are different, but it's always the same stuff. We have more things than we can possibly do. How do we prioritize? How do we listen to customers?
Hmm.
Um, but the biggest learning is how to work across a large group of people, right? Where you have to more lead by influence, and get a lot of folks to work together on a common thing. So yeah.
And this is incredible, this lead by influence piece. I just want to tug on that thread a little bit more because you're not the boss of everyone, and you have to almost champion for what you think is right, but you can't really demand to do things. Like maybe with a startup, I would imagine that if you wanted something done, you always have this in your back pocket, like, I'll just do it over the weekend. But at a large company like Twilio, I think that's probably a little harder to try and do.
That's 100% true. And there's various flavors, right? You need to rely on a team. And that's the advantage we have too, right? Is that we do have a lot of folks who are very skilled and people who can lead functions that you don't have the luxury of having even that department at a startup. Um, but yeah, the heroics are harder to pull off. And in a small startup, you may have a team of 5 or 10, right? And everybody knows every detail about context, talking to customers, what's going on. But you have to document that, write it down, make sure folks communication is really important in terms of that.
Yeah, that's funny you should say that because I was just talking to a guy, Pewter, who wrote a book on why software engineers should write more. And it basically boils down to that. Like, you are so much more effective if you can be a master communicator. And one of the best ways to communicate your thoughts and really materialize them is by writing. And so that was his whole thing.
It's one of Twilio's magic values. We come from, Jeff Lawson was our founder, and he came from the Amazon culture. Very, very driven into that culture, and ours too is write it down, because to your point, you have to think about it and synthesize it to be able to write clearly and
Yes.
not write a 30-page thing. It's got to be like a one pager or a six pager, and people get it quickly.
Yeah, and I always say too that when you socialize a document around, it's much different than when you're in a meeting and everybody agrees on something. Because when you're in that meeting, maybe you understood one thing, I understood another thing, and I forgot one of the things that we were going to write down. And maybe we have the note taker in there and it helps remind me, but it's not quite the same as if we're socializing a document, we're commenting on it, we agree, we align, and then boom, it's off to the races. So speaking of communication, I feel like that's a good segue into what you all are doing at Twilio. It feels like Twilio is kind of made for communication in a way. And I know you have a bit of an origin story. Can you hit me with that real fast?
Yeah, I mean, so Twilio is the world's leading communication platform. We invented the category of CPaaS, communication platform as a service,
Huh.
16 years ago. I think our vision is personalization at scale. And so, if you take, we think if you take communications and data, like really personalized data, first party data, and then blend that with AI, you have something special there, and we kinda sit at the middle of that. We've been a developer first company from the beginning, right? Like,
Yep.
I mentioned Jeff, our founder, he's a developer. First product was programmable voice, but Twilio has all the communications channels, right? But we think we're sitting at a unique place, to deliver on that vision now, and the tech is finally there to make these things real. And we're a platform. We're not a foundational model company, but we partner with all the AI companies and play nice with all of them. And we've got some really cool products that have been cooking up, and that you guys have really helped us bring to market. Um,
Yeah. I want to talk a bit about the products and how you are thinking about from the product perspective, infusing into Twilio different AI capabilities and specifically around upgrading the conversational side of things.
Yeah, so we're calling this whole thing, and the market's coalesced around this term, conversational AI, CAI. You'll hear this a lot more if you don't already, folks listening. But about it's funny because look, 2.5 years ago, 2 years ago, ChatGPT didn't exist, and a lot has happened in the time since November of whatever that was. And we saw our customers, everything starts with a customer, obviously. But our customers about a year ago were trying to stitch together, like, they have these legacy IVR systems. This is like your call in and press one to speak to an operator. Everyone
So
hates it,
painful. So
right?
painful. Yes. We talk about this a lot on this podcast.
You
It's
hammer zero. You're
yeah.
like, right. You give me a human. But we saw folks stitching together, DeepGram, some other text to speech providers, and putting an LLM in the middle, and it was pretty good. Like, it wasn't perfect, but it was pretty good. And a lot has happened right in the past year and a half to make these things better. Um, but we heard from our customers that hey, we want to do this. We think the tech is there. Can you help make it easier for us? We already build communications on Twilio. We think you guys should be playing here. And we said, yeah, we think we should too. But latency is a problem, right? When we talk about, I think all the channels are interesting, right? Like messaging, voice, email, video. The real time communication channels are where the problems and therefore the opportunities are the largest because it's
Mhm.
hard. Um,
And what do you mean by real time?
you and I are talking, right? Like over voice. Like this is a real time. We're doing a lot of things to handle interruptions with each other, to
Yeah.
make sure the pacing is human like. In a texting world, you just send the text,
Yeah.
right? And then there's an async response. So there's a lot of things you have to get right. You can't hide the warts in a
Yeah.
real time situation. So latency, super critical. Interruption handling, super
Yeah.
critical. And
It's
the voices, they got to be good too, and everything's got to be accurate.
It's funny you mentioned that because a friend of mine who was building a voice agent said that everything seemed fine when he's building, and then he pushes it out and he tries it. He's his own guinea pig and he starts talking to it, thinking it's going to be great. And he asks the voice agent to do something for him. And next thing you know, there's 30 seconds of silence. And he's looking at it on his computer screen and he sees that the agent is trying to take these actions. But he recognizes that as a user, you don't get to see that. And so you're looking and that's a horrible experience. You're like, is it working? Did it freeze? Is something happening? I don't know what's going on.
100%. And I think, we take that on the product side really seriously, in that with regards to the things that we can control, we should have that latency as absolutely low as possible to
Yeah.
give, developers and customers like your friend headroom to do those cool things, right? Because everyone wants to go do a tool call, personalization, look up some data, or write something back. It does take time. And there's like new UX patterns coming to life that we're putting names to for things that have existed for all of human eternity since we've been speaking. Like when if you and I were talking and I had to go get a book or something, I'd be like, "Hey, just a second. I'll
Yeah.
I'll be right back." That's called an interstitial. And, web pages have the loading spinner, but now we have to bring these concepts, to the voice world, the communication world.
Yes. That is so funny that concept and many others in this greater conversation of how do we design our conversations and our voice agents to be the most effective. And so another person that I was talking to said that, it's actually not advantageous for me to have the voice agent be really, really good because then humans take that for I can say anything and do anything at any pace and in any accent or whatever and mumble my words and it will pick it up. And it gives this false confidence that if the voice agent is really good, then you can do what you want with it and it will grab anything and take it and be able to use it. Whereas if you make it a little bit worse, it actually gets better results because humans recognize, oh, all right, well, this thing, it might not work. And you're used to those traditional systems that are so bad that this is way better than that. But if you're talking to it like it is a traditional system, then you're good.
It's really wild, to see, like, kind of the human behavior play out in good and bad ways.
Yeah.
And DeepGram's given us a lot of cool tech to make, cover up a lot of those warts, right? In terms of basically, it's if it's garbage in, you're gonna get garbage out, right? And so the accuracy, of transcribing what's happening real time to then send that off to an LLM or be processed by an application, it has to be good. And but we're also seeing, like, if a human figures out that they're speaking to an AI agent, oh, it's a bot. their bad behavior comes out too. Uh, Thankfully, the bot doesn't care, but people get short, they interrupt. You know, it's interesting to see this play out.
Well, there's a few other terms that have become more popular, as you were saying, because now we have to put names to these things that we do as humans, but we didn't necessarily need to name them. And one that I heard come up, I don't know if you've seen this one, is callback, where if you don't have the right amount of information to get to the next step, if the agent cannot complete the next step's task without hard information, like if I'm ordering pizza and I don't give my address, then the agent can't go and order me pizza, right? It can't send me and deliver me that pizza. So you need to have this stop function or this callback that can, before sending it to an LLM and having it go and do stuff, it's like, wait, I'm in the information gathering phase here.
I hadn't heard that term. Obviously, that use case and that problem is well known.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're I'm learning something here today too. Callback, I love it. Yeah, there's lots of these.
Are there other terms? Yeah. What terms have you heard named?
Turn taking is a classic one, right? Like where you and I just naturally know when there's a pause, or sometimes there's an interruption, but it's an overlap, or we kind of finish each other's thoughts and it's flowing.
Yep.
Um, that is harder than it looks.
So hard. And actually pulling on that thread, another one that is hard is that I speak at a certain cadence and I pause. Maybe I have long pauses and then I keep talking. The voice agent and this conversational design, you really want it to be tailored to each person's speaking style, but that is very hard to do also. And so if you're tweaking the knobs of how quickly the agent is going to react or respond, for one person, that may be okay, but for another person that speaks a little slower or has longer pauses, that's totally not okay.
100%. And you have put your finger on one of the harder product strategy problems that we face, which is fun too. But it's like, do you design products for the ultimate control, like long tail, expose every knob? It's super complicated. Or on the other end of the spectrum, hey, you get this one or two things, and we're very opinionated about that. Eh,
Yeah.
the way we've approached that is we sort of said, we'll give you both, and then we'll see what kind of where the boundaries are over time.
Oh,
And Conversation Relay is an example of one of these products that's in
yeah.
Twilio's conversational AI umbrella. And this product was designed for the ultimate control for ISVs, independent software vendors who want to control that, maybe even every call, every customer personalize, or there's a particular bot has a personality. And this is low latency text to speech, speech to text. Deepgram is powering it. And and basically customers can bring their own LLM. Twilio is very unopinionated. Just
Yeah.
give us basically the stuff we've been doing for 16 years that doesn't make your beer taste better, which is real-time communications orchestration. This is our business. We're going to be in it for a long time. You guys, we let our customers focus on what makes their business different and delivering a great user experience. Um, and then the other end of the spectrum, we have another product. It's called AI Assistance.
Uh-huh.
And this is a whole platform for building AI agents. In Twilio, it has a great UI, but it's very opinionated. Where
Yeah.
basically you say, "I just want that outcome. I saw that demo. I want that. I don't know. I don't want to care about LLMs or knowledge or RAG or
Yeah.
memory or tool calling. Just give me
Turn
something
taking.
and
Yeah.
let me run." So we kind of are approaching it from both ends, and we'll see, where they meet.
You know what I'm so surprised has not become a thing yet is we've seen that we can voice clone really quickly with very, very small snippets of text. We can do a really good job voice cloning. Why then can we not have a small snippet of your audio and then personalize the agent right there and know, oh, this person seems to talk slower or faster, or they seem to have this type of whatever it may be that's going to help you have a better agent experience.
It's super interesting the how could you personalize or differentiate? Um, the possibilities are endless, and the truth is it's possible, right? You can do that. There's you can listen and do something like that. You could have an input for from like a UX perspective to sort of set it up, but you could
Yeah.
be listening in a conversation and then know and you could even know your customers' preferences before. Like if you remember, I mentioned Twilio. We think like big picture data, AI, comms. The data side's super important.
Yep.
So right, we have a CDP and required segment. It's now folded into Twilio, but you can collect all customer touch points from marketing, right? From any sort of form they've ever filled out, any ad they've clicked, any sort of product they've purchased, all these things from disparate systems, pull them together in one place so that you have a great profile, like sort of that golden profile of who a customer is. You know a lot before you even get them on the line, let alone
Exactly.
what you can do in real time, right? So, hey, do we tailor the voice? Like if someone's calling in from, it's a classic example, like Southern US has a, very distinct
Yep.
accent, drawl. Do you tailor the voice to that? Or do people get creeped out? I think it's an interesting thing. We're gonna see play out. Do you want to
Yeah.
do you want to just talk to Demetrios, like your mirror,
Uh-huh.
or
That is it. That's funny because the idea of, yeah, potentially it's gonna freak some people out. But
and
just like, yeah, I guess social media freaked a lot of people out, including myself back in 2008, in 2007 type thing.
the way that we're approaching this sort of like big picture, the sort of trust and guardrails and security type stuff is more conservative. I mean, we are a larger company. We have huge enterprises operating on our platform. And all down to individual developers. We put security and trust first.
Hmm.
And so, like we don't want to ship something that's going to get folks in trouble or, a black box of automation you can't see inside. So those things are really important to us. But the voice cloning stuff you brought up is also super interesting. Um, where from an unsolved problem in open domain is how do you do authentication or can you
Yeah.
uh, over voice now that you can spoof them pretty darn good? Um,
Mhm.
and that's an unsolved problem.
Yeah, that feels like one that, oh, maybe we shouldn't be doing voice authentication anymore. And or and yeah, you have to really think through how you're gonna be doing it and what you're gonna be doing. The it's a wild way forward, I would say. Um, but I do wanna talk before we jump a bit more about these different products that you had mentioned. I know there's Relay and there's the AI assistant, which are almost like 2 sides of the spectrum. Are are there any other things that you're particularly stoked about or passionate about right now that you're working on and you can tell me about?
For sure. Obviously, the space is both intellectually interesting and stimulating, right? Because it's the talk of the town. I was born in 1985, so right, I went through the internet, pre-internet, internet, and then the mobile shift. This feels like kind of the next big one.
Yeah.
Um, that
Especially with voice. I mean, LLMs are great, image generation is great, but voice, man, is so wild.
What a renaissance it's having.
Yeah.
The word on the street was voice is dead. Everyone's going to text. That's no one wants to talk anymore. Well, as it turns out, people do want to talk. It's just hard.
Yeah.
And when they want to talk, it's the highest value, most important conversations usually. It's very
So
mission
true.
critical.
So
Um,
true.
yeah, I think the way that we think about it is basically there's like two kind of like pillars and they're virtual agent where you basically automate everything that a human can do and free up the human to do, more productive things. And then the other side of the coin is like human in the loop, where if you do have to have a human talking to a customer or having some sort of interaction, they should be super powered by AI, have context, have next best action. There's lots of things that we can do there too, and those are the two big pillars we're investing in. And then most importantly is something that's common to all of them, like a foundation, is this observability.
Yeah.
insights, intelligence, observability into the black box. It could be table stakes stuff like telemetry. Was there jitter? Was there lag? What was the latency? But all the way up to more interesting things like doing evals on your agents, right? So that if you change the prompt, is it going to totally change, the expected outcome?
Oof.
What was the
We've all
sentiment,
been there.
right,
Yeah.
of some of the customer interaction? Was a competitor mentioned? There's lots of cool things we can do in terms of like natural language operators, and that's a whole suite of things that Twilio has invested in to basically, our product mission is to basically say, we're going to have a suite of things, an end-to-end solution, and if you just want 2 or 3 pieces of it or just one, that's fine too. You can do that, right? We're not a walled garden. We're a developer-first platform, and so, we always build these primitives, we call them, sort of like the individual Lego pieces, but
Yep.
we'll also have Lego kits for folks too, who say, I just want the space shuttle. Just give me the space shuttle." Great, no
That's
problem.
nice.
You can buy it.
Yeah. I have with a daughter who is about 6 years old right now, I know all about Lego kits. We haven't gotten into the Lego blocks and the creativity galore yet, but I'm hoping that is one direction that we're gonna go into. Well, listen, man, this has been great talking to you. I appreciate this, and, I'm excited for everything that you're working on and everything that we're doing together at Twilio and Deepgram. It's very cool.
I really appreciate Demetrius. Appreciate you guys having us on and being good partners for us.